Welcome to the Amazon Legends podcast, where we have real stories about making it big on Amazon. Our guests are CEOs of large companies and entrepreneurs who became powerful sellers, also experts specializing in helping sellers, and both former and current Amazon employees who will give us an insight from behind the scenes. Here's your host, Nick Urison.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Amazon Legends. My guest today is a catalog marketing expert, and to the extent that he was actually mentioned on Seinfeld show when they were making a joke about how much direct mail there is in the mailbox. He can tell you all about it when he's giving us his background. But he later turned e-commerce expert. And now it's all things about Amazon. He runs Phelps United. He's the president of Phelps United. So everybody, meet my guest, Adam Shaffer. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Hello, Nick, and thanks for having me on your show. I love it.
So before we start, quickly, what is that Seinfeld deal that you had?
Oh, man. So this is dating us for those. My kids don't even know what Seinfeld is, funny enough. So it's interesting how the world has changed and demographics have changed. But when I was coming up in the industry, Seinfeld was the most popular show on television, for many years. And we, at the time, before the internet took off and, there was a commercial internet, there were catalogs and mailers, and you would do direct mail to sell things. So we sold computer products for Macintosh, and our company was called Mac Warehouse. It was a very large, very popular cataloger of Apple Macintosh products, accessories, and all the things that work with Apple. And we mailed so many catalogs to so many people each month that you had to get hit with one of our catalogs. It went out and everybody got in the mail. And on a Seinfeld episode, they were complaining about the junk mail that they were receiving every day in their post box. So Seinfeld collects all these things and he's throwing the catalogs out. He's going Pottery Barn, Williams-Sonoma, Mac Warehouse, and he gets angry at our company. But it was a huge boost to our company. Call it like a super product placement, and really, enhanced our business.
Well, of course, that means more catalog for more.
Yes, kill more trees, unfortunately, at the time.
Yeah. So now that we are on Amazon, so when you and I talked, you gave me your dumbed down version of a formula that you created for success on Amazon. Tell us what that is.
Well, dumbed down. The big picture would be, if you're going to help a brand, whether it's your own products that you're selling on Amazon or another brand that you're working with to help them navigate and grow on Amazon, you have to tell their story. On Amazon, you need to be great at everything. It's not like 10 or 15 years ago when maybe you could put a product on Amazon as Amazon opened up its marketplace and sell things. Now it is so competitive in almost every category that you need to be great at everything. But the biggest issue is to stand out. You need to tell your brand story. You need to make sure that you're explaining it in the real estate that Amazon provides for you, which means you have to have great A+ content that answers the questions that people will be asking themselves. Does this product do this? Will this product fit in my pocket? Will this product work in this country? And, there's so many questions that you can get the answers to that you need to do the research on by reviewing all the competitors that are out there and the questions and complaints people might have about their products. But you need to tell that story on your A+, in your copy, and in your gallery. And your gallery pictures need to be precise. The white background picture is nice, but then you need to do the call out and really show the features and functionality of your product. You need to explain why your brand and your product is better than everybody else's without knocking the competition. So there's a skill and an art to telling a brand story. Many brands are great at it because they've been doing it in other avenues, forever. But when you take it down, now you dumb it down to Amazon, you have a limited real estate to tell that story. And you definitely need also great videos. So I call it the great brand story. And then you have to follow it up with, if you're going to sell on Amazon, you better have inventory, you better have stock. Don't be out of stock. So you need to be working with a partner, or you need to be making sure that your logistics are up to snuff, that Amazon has the products in stock. If you don't have them in stock, you're not going to sell them. If you've invested money in promoting your products and building your brand and getting all that popularity and getting a run rate going, and now you're out of stock, you're going to drop in the rankings. Sometimes you'll maintain some of that ranking juice, but you'll drop pretty quickly, and you need to make sure that you stay in stock. What we try to help ourselves and other partners do is that we have backup stock. So we have seller fulfilled Prime, where we could ship Prime from our warehouse and we could ship from FBA Prime. Being Prime is super important. Being able to ship from your own warehouse is super important, because sometimes it takes a while for products to get up to Amazon and in stock, whether they limit you for space, so you can't get all the products there, or you can get the products there, but there's a delay because logistics in general just take a while. Or it could have been that your products were late coming in from China. And so they come in from China, they come to port, then from port, they got to go through customs. Then from customs, you got to get them to a place where they're going to get maybe packaged, assembled, and then you got to get them up to Amazon. If you're delayed by a few weeks, that's not good, because you could wind up being out of stock. So by having a hybrid strategy, it's definitely a big help.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned several things. So we want to unpack each and every one of these. So first and foremost, you started with your A+ content. So A+ content, for the listeners' benefit, I see a lot of brands that are on brand registry that don't take advantage of this. So when you go to the product page, you scroll down, it's like halfway below the fold. There is a lot more sophisticated looking pictures and information, sometimes comparison charts, not the comparison chart that Amazon provides with other listings, but the one that clearly you can tell some graphic work was put into it. Those are called A+ content pages, and that is totally free for you. When I say free flow, where you can create through your graphic designer nice looking pictures and infographics and things like that you can put on every product page. That's what you're referring to, right?
Yes, correct. Referring to that A+ content, and that's where you tell your story, because there should be some methodology to not just nice pictures, but explaining the product and showing it in use, some lifestyle pictures, but also try to show comparable size. Size is important, weight is important, aesthetics for sure are important. And so you need to show that in use, and also close-ups of the product to show, is this the right product for me? And there's definitely an art to it. And some people are really good at it, and some people just throw pictures up. Some people don't do it. It's a shame.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, I've seen so many. So now, however, I can tell you some sellers will say, well, I mean, they're going to see my A+ content page if they come to my product page, but I don't show up in the search results in the first place. So that then ties back to the rest of the content, which is your title, your bullets, and your pictures to a certain extent in terms of search results. Of course, your reviews play a role. So give us how people can drive traffic to their product page. How do they show up in the search results? What are some key drivers?
Well, you just named a whole bunch. I mean, you nailed it. You got to get that title right. There's X amount of characters that you could use, and you should leverage using them all to tell the right story. There's lots of great software that's out there to help try to figure out what the best search words would be to embed in your headline or your title. And things like Helium 10 and Jungle Scout and others that are out there that are pretty popular and not super expensive for that feature can really help you determine what's the best words to use in your title. So that's really important, is figuring out what's the right title. And if you can nail it where the big search words or important search words are in your title, that's going to help a lot with your SEO. And then there's the copy below that, which are the bullets and other words that you're going to use to describe your product and the benefits and features of your product. And that definitely helps with your SEO also in your search words. So this is more of the organic, call it the SEO portion of it. And of course, those pictures are super important. if you're allowed, I think, 7 pictures in the gallery. If you have 2 pictures or 3 pictures, you're not going to get ranked as high as somebody that has 7 pictures. And if you can have a video, if you have the wherewithal, whether you could do it yourself or you need a third party to help you create videos, have a video, have more than one video, but the videos are super important and they get clicked on all the time. When people are trying to make that decision, should I buy this or should I buy this? They're going to click the video, and that video is going to usually convince them one way or another.
So what is your recommendation for the video length? How long should it be?
Oh, I've seen them too long, but I think, 15 seconds is probably good enough. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot because people are ADD and they just want to get a quick hit. 30, okay, but 30 could be a little long sometimes too. People will cut it off. You'll see that there's, some software that'll be able to tell you that how long people have been able to sit through your videos. And it's great when they make it to the end, but most people cut off after 10, 12 seconds.
And is this the kind of video that you can take your phone and shoot, or what is the best practice?
I mean, you can. Some of the phones are good, and there's some great, light boxes with, carousels that spin your product so you could show 3D. And, I put that in the lower form, but then there's other photographers that are out there that are videographers that could really do a great job. And it's really not that much money. If this is a product that you built, that you've invested in, and you're trying to build your brand, it's usually worth spending a little bit of money to get the video right, because the higher quality video will definitely help you along the way, and it will separate you from those that do the iPhone carousel pictures. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying invest in your product.
Right. I mean, you just said it. So this actually came up recently with a client of mine. We were working and we were going through the pictures, and I brought up the subject video. So I said, oh yeah, we've got the video covered, don't worry. So then the time comes for me to look at the video. So they show the video and it's a good video, but I said, who created the video? He says, oh, we did. But this video is actually, it's instructional video. It's very useful. It's about how to use their product. I said, okay, so 2 questions. What is the intention for this video? He said, well, we want to show, how to use our product. Said, that's not the video you want to put on your pictures. It has to be a promotional video, which the video, by the way, was about 2.5 minutes long. So I said, nobody's watching 2.5 minutes long video. In addition, I said, did you create this in-house? He says, yeah, I did it. I said, okay, I have a question for you. And this is the question for every seller. You tell me your take on it. Imagine that you've been given a free slot to show your commercial on major network prime time. Would you put up
the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, Super Bowl is obviously it's very expensive, but just for regular TV, somebody says, look, we're gonna air it prime time right after, I don't know, a major event. So would you go with something that you created that's 2.5 minutes long? No. So it's a promotional video. So what is your take on it?
I mean, I'm with you, man. Like Nick, I would definitely do the promotional video because you're selling the sizzle. But I do think that there's a place for that 2-minute explainer video. But I think you already have to have hooked that customer, and now they bought it and they go back to get some advice and help. So I think having the resource there is going to help you, because the other end of this is what you don't want is a return. And, that's inherent on Amazon, because the customer wins, and the customer has the right to return these products, and you want to keep that product in the field. And the incremental videos, now that you sold them, I think that's great resource to keep it out in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. So going with promotional video as part of your pictures, your gallery, as Amazon calls, in addition to the pictures, is key, and keep that short. You can add the additional video, but that cannot be the only video that's long and
No, that's a backup. You go with that promotional video.
Yeah, and that long video, by the way, long self-made video is perfect for social media. Put it on TikTok, put it on, and people actually like that because it's authentic. Nobody can question, oh, this is commercial, but your promotional video. So if you are in the business of building a brand, you're investing so much money, building your product, getting the molds created, the shipment and all that stuff, registering, legal, and you don't have the money to professionally create a promotional video, you are in the wrong business.
And I think that you'll find it's not going to completely break the bank. I mean, I know people want to do things on a shoestring, but there's enough of these videographers out there that understand Amazon now and other marketplaces, and it's reasonable. And for the price, like you explained, I created a mold or I created a design, I did all this extra work. It's small incremental, and you amortize it over the life of the product. It's not like, depending on how you're doing your accounting, like it's irrelevant, but it's not a big hit.
Yeah. So this is, and the other thing that I will tell people is, and this kind of came up, unfortunately, you have to dissect everything. So how do you go about creating a video? Creating a video is several components. First of all, you have to write a script, right? This is nothing to do with shooting or anything. You have to have it's like creating a movie. How can you go shoot a movie without having a script in the first place, right? So you have to write a script, and it would be better if you wrote the script and then put it to the person, and then they can come back with an alternative. But don't just put your faith in their hands. This is your product. You tell the story, write the script, and then let them create the prototype, and then the editing and the music and all that stuff. These are all the pieces that go into building it, right?
Well, I mean, what you said is like the ideal customer, because so many customers don't want to have to write the words, and you don't have to write the words like those are the words that will be used, but you need to give a brief to the person that's going to be doing the creative for you. So just a brief, even if it was bullets to explain the most important features and functionality, you got to give them a clue.
Yeah, outline, so to speak, right?
Exactly. So you have a brief, and then the videographer will do a storyboard for you. And the storyboard for, 15, 30-second commercial, it's not that many, rectangles or squares, and you'll be able to see how this thing is going to flow, and you'll be part of that, journey. And I think that you got to give the people working with you some help, because you're the creator of the product. Who knows it better than you?
Absolutely. My favorite example is, I'm sure you've seen the show called Mad Men.
Of course.
Yeah. So, they are constantly pitching TV commercials, right? So they're explaining, somebody is doing this, a woman walks past, and then a dog suddenly jumps on her. And so that's what we're talking about when we say script. So give that outline, so to speak, not necessarily frame by frame like that, but what is the message that will highlight your product? And then let the person who will create the video give you those frame by frame, so to speak, the storyboarding it. And then from that, you can go to production. So these are, you said it doesn't break the bank. But as the business owner who has to plan for the expense, you have to make a place for this expense in your plan. That's the whole idea. You can't just dismiss it. You can't cut corners. It's going to help with your conversion big time, right?
And you have to do the research, whether it's you or people that work with you. Look at other comparable products. Even if you think yours is better, you got to research what people are saying about the others, so you could learn what you need to highlight in your products. It's funny. There's products now that are out that they're saying, do not buy this if you're going to use it for this. And they're saying that because, A, they don't want the returns because it's going to give them horrible reviews. They're trying to be upfront about it. They're saying this product, like, I go to Europe a lot and the power's different. So I have to get these power converters, and you can't just take these small little power converters and plug a hair dryer into it. It'll blow it. And so you go to these, these products on Amazon, and there'll be a big X. Do not put hair dryer. Do not put it on here. It's good for phone, for computer, for this, for that. But do not do this. And because they had returns, they had problems. Everybody wants it for everything, but it's not for everything. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
So you need to be clear about what is your product for, what's the problem it solves, and tell that story clearly, the good and what it doesn't do, because you don't want people to buy it and then put venomous hate mail or bad reviews, because then you're in the dungeon.
Right, exactly. Reviews are key. So one of the things that this actually is a good segue to the next part, which is, to me, is the main driver for your conversion, is your product pictures. So give us your take on pictures that will not only tell the story of your product, but also will attract reviews that are positive.
Well, I think it's more than the pictures that'll get you the reviews. It's the people that wind up buying it that leave, wonderful comments about your products. But I think the pictures have to, again, tell a story in a particular order, where the initial picture is the image on a white background, which is Amazon's kind of ruling. Some people, play around with that a little bit, but that's pretty much the standard. But then that next picture is super important. That number 2 picture, you really want to, with call outs, I call them, they're lines with little words sitting next to them, call out the features on your product. If it's a vacuum cleaner, it'll point to the different parts of the vacuum cleaner, the switches, the outlets, the hose, is it reversible? Does it, is it waterproof? And, if it's a computer product, say it's a docking station, it shows and points to every single port that's on there to show, look at all these cool features you get with this. And so that second picture is really important. And you do want to show the angles. And then depending on the product, you need a picture in there that has somebody. And I think I see people do it with humans, where they have a human hand holding the product, or the product is sitting next to a coin or something that people know. Oh, I know the size of a coin. I know the size of a piece of bread. I'm making that up. But, something to scale it so you can say, that is that big. I get it now. Like that, I don't want something huge. I want something small. And so having the human hand model or having some kind of comparison is super important. And that'll help tell your story. Then, you talked about the development of the product. And you get some products, I'm sure you order from Amazon, it comes in a little baggie, and it's like, I can't believe I got this. I spent $200 and it's in a little baggie. The box is important, and the creative that goes with the box is important. Make your product feel important when people get it. So if you have a great picture of a box that you could show, it comes in this high-end, beautiful box, you're not selling the box, you're selling the brand, you're selling the image. And I think that's really important. That's another thing that I think people chintz out on. And why do they chintz out? Because it's going to add another $1 or $2 or $3 to your cost. And if it's a low average selling price product, can you absorb that? But as the average selling price comes on, you should really invest in better packaging. Packaging will protect it. Packaging will keep it in the field. You don't want returns. People are going to return it anyway, but you don't want an exorbitant amount of returns. It's not good for your ratings. It's not good for your SEO, but it's not good for your financials either.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So the packaging is so important to get that sense of feeling that you're buying something exceptional, something of high value.
Yep.
So that's what the packaging does. And the best example is, I'm sure we all know, especially ladies, fragrance, right? All the fragrances, they are all by designers, even though it's designed or created by someone who's unknown. It's still a designer fragrance. That's how they sell it. So these designer fragrances, if you think about it, what is the cost? It's liquid, right? It's the formula. It costs nothing to produce it, but it, especially high-priced ones, they're very expensive. And you know where they are getting that high-value perception? Not because of the formula or even the smell. Some people don't even know what it smells like. It's the box.
The packaging.
It's the whole industry, right? So that bottle, the box, and everything that goes with it is, and that's the reason why packaging is so important. It just emphasizes your brand value.
For sure. I mean, what's the world's most popular, famous brand? It's Apple Computer, right? You get an Apple product, the unboxing is an event, right?
Right.
And they do that on purpose. Now, over the years, they've dumbed down a little bit of the packaging, but it's still, when I open it, the way it's wrapped, I open it and it's layers, and everything's compartmentalized, and the way the wrapping comes off the phone or the watch, it feels good. It feels high value. It feels, I bought an Apple, right? You want everybody to feel when they bought your product, they bought an Apple product.
Yeah.
And so I see others trying to emulate Apple everywhere in every industry. And I think that's really good. It just comes down to, you got to be, it's got to be economic. It's got to fit the product. So like if you're making $1.99 product, it might not be that simple to do, and you might need to go with the bag or something, but you need to make it still important. But as you're coming up the price scale, you got to invest in that packaging.
Absolutely. And if anybody listening says, well, my product is priced very low, well, then think about your pricing. I mean, pricing is everything. So instead of discounting your price to compete, increase your value, and then therefore assign a higher price point, but differentiate yourself, and your packaging, the perception of who you are will be ultimately the reason why people will pay. I mean, why do people go pay so much in Starbucks to get a cup of coffee? They can buy it in Dunkin' Donuts, they can buy it anywhere, right? I mean, it doesn't cost anywhere near, but nevertheless, they know that brand is the one that they feel loyal to. So because they associate other things with it. So that's the way to deal with it. So, okay. Now, as far as reviews, I'm going to say one thing about what kind of a role pictures play with reviews. And this actually comes down to a metric Amazon tracks. It's called listing quality.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is, out of the physical merchandise that you're shipping, how does it compare to the pictures that you posted for it? You may have updated your packaging. Maybe some of the colors have been changed, but your pictures are not the current look. Then people will simply say, first of all, you'll get a return. Second, they're going to say, well, the pictures were, in fact, as part of the reason for return, one of the options that Amazon provides is product description, inaccurate. So, and I do this all the time. And I say, I buy something, and then of course they cut corners, and then they ship something looks totally different. The pictures were not the same as the product I received. So therefore the description it does not match, because your pictures are part of your description. So that's something that will impact, and you don't want any of those things. Make sure.
Well, it's going to get you a negative review. That's how it's going to impact your review.
Absolutely, yeah. You're going to get a return. It's like, double, triple whammy. You're going to get a return, and of course, Amazon, if you are using FBA, there's a 3% fee for processing a refund. Amazon will provide a refund. Customers will not be happy. They are likely to file a negative review. In addition, for your if you are like getting close to the order defect rate, so that's going to be bad. It doesn't.
No,
work.
I mean, if too many negative reviews, you're going to get suspended on your SKU. So
exactly, yeah,
nobody wants that. So it's great to invest. So this is all the upfront work, but then you got to, you said, how do you get people and how do you get traffic to your page, to your product, and so all these are freebies. I'll call them freebies. You're going to invest in the content, but they're SEO, they're organic. But then you still have to advertise, and that's a cost of doing business now on Amazon. It used to not be that way, but now, where that wasn't part of the equation X years ago, it's now part of the equation. You got to spend for launching a product sometimes 100% of sales at the beginning to get something off the ground and get enough traffic so people buy it, so they leave reviews, and then you start bringing it down. And I hear people saying, well, spending 30% of sales is acceptable, and it depends on what the product is, but you got to get this thing sub 10%. You really do. And you don't want to spend more than 10% if you can avoid it on advertising. But you need to do on Amazon advertising. You need to do off Amazon advertising. You need to do social media advertising. And now what we've been spending some time with, which is helpful for reviews, is micro influencers. And a micro influencer is a person that is savvy and popular to some extent about certain types of product categories, and they have a following base. Like, so a micro influencer could have 5,000 to 50,000 followers, and you could get them through a fee, through an affiliate program, to be able to post your product and tell a story about their product. And if somebody clicks and buys it, they get a piece of the action many times. But that person is buying your product. They tell a story about their product, and most likely they're going to leave a review about your product. And most likely it's going to be positive because they're on your team in a way. And I do think that getting a band of micro influencers, and there are many companies that offer availability and access to all these different micro influencers. It's interesting. Everybody does their own little thing, but you get 50 micro influencers at a time telling their little story, and it takes a while because they're not all getting the product and doing it that day. They do it over a period of time. So there is a drag effect to it, but it's something that I think you have to invest in and do, because you want people talking about your product and showing your product. It's great for your brand, but it's going to get more traffic to the page. And Amazon loves outside of Amazon traffic. They love when you're bringing stuff in from Google or from TikTok or from wherever it's coming. You get a bigger bang for that benefit by coming from off of Amazon.
So when you have external traffic, so there's a couple of things to mention. First of all, if you are advertising outside Amazon, of course, Amazon loves that because you're bringing potential buyers that are not already on Amazon. And so if you are advertising on Amazon through the Amazon PPC campaigns, then you are advertising to people who are already on Amazon. So Amazon already has them. But when you bring somebody from outside, Amazon loves that. So there's a couple of things there. One is called attribution, Amazon attribution, which basically is a specific way to create your links for your ads that will tell you where the traffic has come from. And then if you incorporate that into your advertising and you sign up for brand referral bonus program for brand register people, now if you generate X number of dollars from external traffic that gets picked up by your attribution, you get a percentage of the gross sale back to your seller account credited, right?
And it's a big play right now. And why does Amazon do that? There's a couple of reasons. One is they want that outside traffic, but when so many of the Amazon sellers are advertising on Google or Bing, or they're using your Facebook, almost historically and always they push the traffic to themselves because they're already paying for the advertisement. Do they really want to pay for the advertisement and the Amazon fees? So they're getting double dinged. Amazon doesn't want to feed Shopify. They want to feed themselves. So they're giving them a discount theoretically to help cover that ad spend so they can get the traffic back to Amazon. So it's a 1-2 punch there, punch to Shopify, and then feeding the Amazon machine. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, there is a bit of a situation there because ultimately, as you know, the Amazon algorithm drives what shows up in the search results. So of course that has a lot to do with the content, your PPC, whatever the case may be. So, but ultimately, one of the drivers in that algorithm is your conversion rate. Conversion rate being how many people landed on your page versus how many of them bought the product. That is key because in Amazon's business model, where they want to provide the best customer experience, that looks like somebody coming to Amazon, doing a search, clicking on a listing, and then buying it. That's the best experience because whatever they searched, they found, and they bought, and then of course your reviews and everything else follows. But the point is, an Amazon-based advertising program is likely to bring potential buyers to your listing page. But an external advertising program could be anything. If it's Facebook or TikTok, they may not be necessarily ready to buy. So if you bring them to your product page, your conversion rate may suffer, and therefore you may lose your ranking that you've achieved. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, but you do get extra juice from the traffic coming from outside. So Amazon still likes that. And I do think that a lot of the advertising that D2C or B2B, e-commerce players put out there are bottom of the funnel. So they're trying to advertise for conversion anyway. So they're doing Google Shopping or they're doing Google AdWords. They're not doing it just for brand building. They're almost always doing it to convert. So they are putting converting advertising out there. And I actually believe that in many cases, when you go from Google to Amazon to buy, the conversion rate should be as good, if not better, than going to the D2C site. Why? A, fast delivery. When you and I talked earlier about how some of these companies take a while to get products to you. So you're going to get speed, you're going to get, I know Amazon, I could return this. I'm safe, I'm comfortable. I have my account set up already. I don't have to set up a new account. So I think that there's a lot of benefits to customers coming to Amazon to get it. They know they're going to get it. They trust Amazon. They have an account set up. It's a simple formula for them. They don't have to think about it. If they go to a new D2C site, if it's not the first time they ever bought from that site before, do I really want to do this again? Do I need to set up a new account? How long is it for me to take it? I think that they're going to get their conversion, but I think they're going to be equally satisfied on Amazon. And again, Amazon's kicking you back some extra money for that, a discount. So I think it works, but you better have your page on Amazon in ship-shop shape. You got to have this thing rocking and rolling with great content. So don't do the offsite advertising if you haven't invested in your product page.
Exactly.
So it goes back to what we started talking about. Make sure that's set.
Exactly. Okay, so this is really great. We didn't really intend it to be this way, but this episode is turning out to be almost like the anatomy of success on Amazon. So now, okay, so we've created the content. We made sure we've got everything 100%, pictures, video, A+, and we've got the advertising going. We're bringing search results externally as well as on-site paid campaign. We've got reviews. So now what numbers are you watching in terms of determining, am I doing well here? What are some areas of improvement? What are
oh my goodness. The first thing I'm going to look at, first of all, you want to look at all your advertising metrics to see what you could squeeze and optimize. There's no doubt about it. You want to continually look at your copy on your page because you think you might have nailed it, but you might not have nailed it 100%. Now that you're in the game and you're selling, you're going to get your own reviews. You're going to be able to read more about it. You're going to be able to see where and see some critiques on where you could actually enhance your content. So you should always be optimizing your content. But I think now comes the what's my BSR, what's my ranking? Because I want to be number one. I want to be number 5. I don't want to be another number 3,000. So if I'm continually climbing in the ranking, I'm going in the right direction. There's a huge difference between number 1 and number 3,000. There's a big difference between number 1 and number 25 even. But you want to be in that top 50. There's no doubt that that's where your goal has got to be.
Is this the main category or it's one of the subcategories?
The subcategories. The main category could be incredibly difficult. You're talking, your computers or electronics. I mean, it's off the charts. If I have a keyboard and I'm ranked 3,000 or 5,000, that could be really good for electronics. But in keyboards, if I'm 3,000, I'm dead.
Yes, right. You're right. Yeah. So you're looking at the subcategory. So you're watching the rank, your BSR. What else are you watching?
I'm watching what these competitors are doing and what words they're investing in. So I'm always trying to enhance my advertising. I might have my advertising with a system that's always looking, but I want to also be looking at what are my competitors spending their time and their money on that are ahead of me in the ranking, because they're obviously getting more sales than I am. They have to be, to be there. So I'm always chasing them and seeing what they're doing that might be better than what I'm doing. I also want to enhance my advertising where if we were just doing basic advertising, I want to do some video advertising because I don't know if you've seen it, but I definitely see it and it always catches my eye. You'll search for computer networking switches and halfway down the page, there's movement, there's a video and there's an advertisement and your eye always goes to that. And that's much higher conversion, those video ads. You got to invest a little time to develop them, But again, I don't think it takes a rocket science to build these video ads, and you got to do some of that video advertising. So that to me is enhance your advertising, enhance your SEO, and follow some of what the good and the bad that the competitors are doing. Don't do the bad, do more of the good.
So as far as like driving a car, you're watching your speed. Like if it's, depending on where you're driving, if it's over 55, if you're on the expressway, then you're going too fast, depending on where you are. So what are some numbers oriented monitoring that you are doing?
Well, I'm looking at velocity, sales per day, sales per week, sales per month, for sure, the units I'm selling. And again, trying to back into what I think my competitors are doing to see how much more runway I think I have to go on up. I definitely don't want to go backwards. The other I'm looking at is on my advertising. What's my ACoS? What am I spending to acquire order? Because you're not acquiring a customer, right? It's not like your own business, Amazon's customer.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I say, when you're selling products, are you selling a product that people might want to buy often or once in a blue moon? And if it's once in a blue moon, that ACoS is pretty important to watch. But if it's something that's replenishable, like you talk about coffee, if you're buying beans on Amazon, which we buy coffee beans on Amazon, I buy it once a month. So what's the cost to get somebody into my brand and get them to love me? I would lose money on that. That's how the old direct marketing game worked. How much money do you go in the hole to acquire a new customer, and then how much money do you make thereafter? So if you have something that I buy a carpet for my house, I kind of buy a carpet for my house, once every 10 years, I don't know. But if I'm buying coffee, I'm buying it once a month, and there's going to be a longer life to that. So maybe I'm going to spend a bit more to get that person for the first time to buy it. Maybe I'll do more couponing. Maybe I'll do more promotional. Maybe I'll do a special promotion with Amazon. And I would definitely do everything in my power to keep that rank high. Being number one, number two, number three, number four, number five is invaluable because Amazon is definitely going to always show you on the search results.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you have a consumable product that you're selling, then you can also register for subscribe and save option. So that will give you the recurring orders. You don't have to think about it. It's a great way for you to plan your inventory. If you look at all the subscriptions you have, how many pieces that adds up to. Absolutely, if you spend a little bit more upfront to acquire one subscriber to your consumable product, that's a great way to go. So as far as your daily order or daily, weekly, your order flow rate or order velocity rather, where are you seeing those numbers? What is the system that you use to?
Okay. I mean, so obviously Seller Central gives you some reporting that you could print on a minute. You just press the button if you get bored during the day and you keep on running the report. But we use our own internal tools that we've built. We have a platform called Optics, and we see by the minute what's being sold. And I'll kick some of the guys to say, hey guys, what's going on today? Is something happening that I'm not aware of? Do we lose a buy box on something? Maybe that is a brand that somebody else could get their hands on. And we quickly know almost immediately. So there's a dashboard that's running throughout the day that's telling us how we doing to yesterday, how we doing to the week before for the same day, how we doing to last year. And it's basically a line chart that's growing throughout the day. And you definitely don't want to be under last year. And products do have a life, so you need to make sure that you're refreshing your products. And eventually, I'd love for something to last forever, and some products do last for a long, long time. Some don't. But always try to improve it. And I think the best way to launch a new product is to make it a variation from a current product that's popular. So if you're concerned about the life of your product, come out with the next version of it, or a better version, or something different, but have it so you can tie it to that core SKU. You're talking about a huge advertising savings by tying it to your popular SKU. Mm-hmm. And so the enhancements, enhance your product, tie it, make sure that if it's a variation, maybe it's a special color, maybe it's got one extra nozzle on it, but keep it in the family.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So at the end of the day, you mentioned your internal tools. So really, you want to build your own system to track information that you need to stay on top of that's specific to your operation. That may be different. There isn't like one size fits all.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of
right?
software out there. Like there's 3P Seller and this Sellizo, and there's so many tools out there that you could use that provide you better looking reports, easier to access reports, easier to read reports. We've tried so many different tools, and we still use a bunch of these tools, but we wound up, because we've been doing this for so long, just creating some of our own. So it's some third-party tools, but we have our own stuff that we build, and we've come to rely on that.
So how do you use? I didn't hear you mention conversion rate. Maybe because it's like a natural thing.
Yeah, no, it could be. I mean, that's probably pretty silly that I didn't, but I mean, conversion rate is a big deal. I mean, it's going to go back, it all ties down to some of the metrics you're looking at. Why is my ACoS going up? Well, it could be the advertising's more expensive,
Right.
or it could be the conversion rate's not. If your conversion rate's coming down, you're in trouble. So you got to keep your conversion rate high and do new things and mess around with new advertising and new words. So that's why you have to always be optimizing your advertising.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the conversion rate is a given in your case because you put the focus on the content, the A+, because all those things are key for the conversion rate to be good in the first place, right? So that's
that's correct. But also, you might be doing some advertising that's more brand building than it is conversion. Like you'll see that if you advertise and focus on the ASIN, the conversion rate's a little higher than when you focus on the brand. Because as you start lifting out of the funnel from the bottom to the middle, the conversion rates change. You need a mix, right? You need to be building your brand, but you need to be converting. And you just need to have a good mix and measure it.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I always say, frankly, and for anybody who listened to other episodes, I keep emphasizing there are two magic bullets on Amazon for success. One is how do you increase your click-through rate, your CTR? So when you come up in the search results, how do you get more people to click on your product? So when you increase the click-through rate, you're bringing more people to your product page. And the second magic bullet is the conversion rate. So out of the people that you bring to the product page, how do you get more of them to buy? So these are easier said than done.
Always.
How do you increase the click-through rate? Well, that will come down to how optimized your listing is, how good your main product picture is, and what your order flow rate is, so that you are constantly increasing your orders. So Amazon will say, okay, this is a good one. Your conversion rate has to be high. So the algorithm picks. So all those things will get you show up higher and higher so that your click-through rate will be higher. And the conversion rate is all about the content. How good is your content, your pictures, your videos, your bullets? Are people making an emotion?
Well, the reviews are going to be a big deal on your conversion
reviews rate. Are a big deal, yeah. So that's the trust.
But on your click through, I mean, I think the thing is, if you start picking search words out that just aren't precise enough, some people go really broad. You're going to have a tough click-through rate because people are going to look at it like right away. They know that's not what I wanted. So making sure that you have the right words in your title and that you're advertising for the words that really matter to people looking for your type of product, that's going to help your click-through rate. But also, I mentioned on the advertising, doing some video advertising is definitely going to help your click-through rate. Definitely going to help your conversion rate. So you got to try both to enhance your click-through rate.
Exactly. So, Adam, so if you could pick one thing for Amazon to change in their policies for third-party sellers, what do you think that would be?
Oh man, that's an unfair question. Let me get out my list. I think they do a good job for, they built this mammoth, say there's $610 billion of merchandise being sold on Amazon, and they have hundreds of thousands of employees on email and chat, and sometimes you maybe could talk to somebody. They tried to create the hotline, but it doesn't really work. I think just being able to have more access to people that you work with on a regular basis would be helpful. I think it's a rotating door, so you're never dealing with the same person. And maybe they do that on purpose because they don't want one person to become too overly friendly with the seller to maybe have some bias. But having somebody that people could talk to, some people have account managers, but you have 2.5 million sellers, 3P sellers on Amazon. They don't. They're talking to an inbox. And
Right.
I think that, I think that being able to say, you're dealing with this group here, it might be impossible, but I just think a better way to communicate with them, because they're so overburdened with painful questions and requests and things that they might have done by an algorithm that they're trying to undo or fix or look into or research. Doing an inventory check, like, I want you to go count my inventory because I don't think it's right. You put in cases all the time. There's got to be a more consistent way to deal with them.
Yeah, you're right. So I had an interesting conversation with an Amazon guy. This is they call them business development people or category managers, whichever way you look at it. But their job is to work with sellers. So they become the account executives. And what he said, I said to him, look, is there any way, first of all, for you to be assigned to an existing seller? He said, it's much harder. It's possible, but it's much harder than right at the beginning being assigned to somebody who's just signing up. Because what I always do is I try to get an invite sent to a seller or new seller to sign up, because that invite is triggered by an account executive that gets attached to an account. So for anybody listening, try to get an account executive right from the get-go. Don't try to get one after the fact. And then about after the fact, sometimes you get people reaching out to you, say, oh, I am your accounting executive. That does happen. But what I was told by one of those guys is, if somebody is doing about $1 million a year, they are already fine. They don't get an account executive because they want to help the little guys grow. That's
sure.
the function of the account executives, which I would have thought would be the other way around, because somebody who is doing little. So Amazon has a very different mentality. So what do you think about getting an invite? Do you arrange invites for sellers?
I invite for sellers, or does Amazon?
Yeah. Do you get an Amazon executive to invite a seller so that they become attached to the seller account?
I think that it would be great to have a consistent person for sure. And we've paid for account management or somebody that can help us there at Amazon. And it's hit or miss, man. Like, you can get somebody that is brand new and is doesn't know their way around, always has to get back to you, take some days to get back. And then you get some really slick people that know the game really well. And you got to get lucky to get that right person. And then as you grow, you do get account help, but they're not the cure-all, because they can't fix a lot of the issues that you need fixed or help or advice on. They could do one thing. And like you said, really what they're involved in is they're trying to figure out how to get you to grow and sell more stuff. They're not necessarily there to figure out how to get you out of the doghouse.
No, I actually, if you ever get put in the doghouse, hands off. They don't.
Hands off. Yep.
Yeah, it's very interesting system. So this is great, Adam. So you've really given the roadmap to really doing things. So let's learn a little bit about you now. So tell us, where did you grow up, and where do you live?
Well, I live in Miami. Our company, Phelps United, is based in Costa Mesa, California. I moved to Miami because of another business that I was working, and I wound up having kids, and they're not that transportable once they're going to school. They kind of get stuck in their way, and it would probably be a divorce to move them. Otherwise, I'd move back to California. But we do love it here. And I've been in the industry for 30 some odd years. Like we talked earlier, we were doing direct marketing, selling computer products through catalogs. And from there, we had the first internet e-commerce site. And it was so kludgy at the time because we had this big ERP system that processed our orders, but it wasn't connected to our internet system. So every day we had to print all the orders from the internet and have somebody rekey them into our main system to be able to
Oh my
process
God.
and ship. And those were the days. And we would take 30,000 phone calls a day. And over time, it evolved to 30,000. I mean, this is no joke. And,
30,000 a day. How do you handle 30,000
we
calls?
had a huge call center in New Jersey, believe it or not. And, we answered those phones. And, the whole thing was, how do you have a hold time of no longer than 15 seconds? Because then you lose the person that's calling. And God forbid you need customer service, but you had a little longer hold time there. But, you want to get those orders. But people got a catalog, they made a phone call.
Yeah.
People didn't even mail it in. They made a phone call. So over time, that evolved to, let me place the order on the internet. And the phone calls dried up and the internet took off. And we had the largest e-commerce business for computer products outside of Dell at the time. So we built a monstrous e-commerce business through the mechanism of a catalog creating the advertisement.
I mean,
And then we got into advertising.
yeah, I mean, Dell did the first thing when they went internet-based ordering, because that's what Dell used to do. And then Michael Dell was the visionary to say, we're gonna service all these orders on the website from now on.
They were the largest manufacturer at the time. We were the largest, call it, reseller at the time. So we would sell other people's brands, Dell brands, and they built they're still huge online.
Oh yeah.
And so, they've done a great job. We I don't think we would call ourselves visionaries. We were just trying to survive, and internet was how you did it, because it was going to happen. And we spent, I don't know, $6 million on our first e-commerce site, working with Microsoft helping us. It was, and then we got rid of it 6 months later and built a new one. And now you could just pay a couple of bucks a month and have a Shopify site that has more than we ever had on our website.
Absolutely, yeah. So, but how did you get started? So this business, is it part of your experiences growing up as a child?
Well, I've always been in marketing, and selling and direct marketing. I mean, I was quite young when I got into this. I was probably 18 years old, going to university, and started with a company that was selling direct through magazines. They were selling through line listings in PC Magazine and selling computer products. And I started with them, and we evolved, and I joined a new company that did these catalogs. And it was an offshoot of publishing. The company that I started with was called Micro Warehouse or Mac Warehouse. They were the founders of a magazine called Mac User, and Mac User sold to Ziff Davis, and Ziff Davis bought them and had a non-compete on magazines, but they didn't have a non-compete on catalogs. And the biggest advertisers in Mac User were direct sellers selling through line listings. So they said, if they can do it, we could just create a catalog. It looks like a magazine. It's got all these wonderful pictures instead of these line listings, and it's not breaking our non-compete. And so that's how Mac Warehouse began. It was an offshoot from Mac User, and it grew, and and many followed: PC Connection, CDW, Dell.com, and others.
So I heard you mention you were always in sales and marketing, but why were you always in sales and marketing?
Oh, again, you grow up as a mutt in a town on Long Island, and you're always trying to figure out how to make a living. I worked at Sears when I was a little kid, when they opened a store in our neighborhood, to have a job, and selling and helping customers was a big deal. And some people have a knack for it and some people don't. And then as I learned more about, and at the time it was more this technology computer business, helping brands that were coming up figure out how to sell their products to customers was interesting and fun to me. Helping tell the brand story and helping brands succeed in the direct marketing world, because it was a weird place at the time where, how do you sell computer products? There were some computer stores, but you had to be pretty knowledgeable to figure out how to get all these different parts. And so we helped brands tell their story, which we're continuing to do now on Amazon.
So this is in Sears?
No, Sears. After Sears, I was selling. Sorry to jump, but that was while I was working at Sears. I was going to school, and I met some people in this computer startup selling through magazines, and that's when I got into it. So it was how do I not work at Sears for the rest of my life? And I got into the computer business through my university and a professor that connected me with people at a company that was a startup.
So, who put you in Sears for that job? Is that you?
Oh, I was 16 years old and they opened a store in my neighborhood. And, I rode my bicycle there. I couldn't drive a car yet. I was just getting my driver's license. And I applied for a job. They were hiring as many people as they could. And I think I was making $3.35 an hour, punching a time card, worked in sporting goods and toys and office equipment.
So, how did your parents take you taking a job in Sears?
Oh, they were happy. I was to my parents, having a job was more important, I think, than anything else. That's the one excuse you're allowed to have for being late for dinner or
It
missing a holiday is you're working. So working is a pretty big part of our
was
culture.
encouraged.
Oh,
Encouraged.
it was more than encouraged. If you don't have a job, you're a bum. So you got to have a job.
Oh,
So,
so it's your. I see. So in the family, the whole value system is you better have a job. Is that it?
yeah, absolutely. And I'm a little older, although I look super young, but I'm 57 years old. When I was a kid, there was a thing called the gas crisis. So the gas crisis was there was a shortage of gas, not dissimilar to today, but the prices didn't go as high as today. But you could only buy gas on odd or even days. So if you had a license plate that ended with an 8, you were an even. If you were 7, you're an odd. So you could only get gas every other day, and the gas lines were a mile plus long. People were waiting all day to get gas until the gas station ran out of gas. And I was about 12 years old at the time, and I stole all the food from our house. And with my friend, we took a shopping cart and we walked up to where the gas station was, and we walked up and down the line selling food, coffee, donuts, whatever
Oh,
it would be. And then when they put a sign on the last car that said last car, we took the sign off so people would stay longer so we could sell. So, we were always scamming to make some money. And even if it was taking it was great cost of goods, free, because we took it from our parents and we made, a ton of money selling it to these people waiting in their cars because they couldn't leave the car and they were sitting there for an hour. And it was the morning they were going to work.
so that was your first entrepreneurial.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was it. And then, Sears came calling when I got old enough for a real job and, had my paper routes and all the other stuff kids do to make some money, shovel driveways. But, once I got into direct marketing and marketing, there was nothing better than putting a campaign out, whether it was a piece of mail or a catalog, and people responded. You knew, I would think at the time, almost instantaneously if something was going to be a winner or a loser. Now in seconds. Then it was,
Yeah, exactly.
in 10 days, I'll know if this is a winning campaign or not. But you had to count the days until it would be in homes. So you mailed it, and maybe it's still 10 days before it gets to a house. Then you got to give it, 10 days until you know. So in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, if it's a winner or loser. Now I know in a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. Well, that's great. So it sounds like your whole childhood experience connects back to today in terms of,
Work ethic and loving marketing and loving companies that come up with great ideas and helping them tell their story and sell more of their products. I mean, it's a turn on to be able to help a brand. And in the computer business, you're dealing now with, as the world evolves, Hewlett Packard and IBM and so many big brands, Cisco, and working with them in their corner and them inviting you into their headquarters to dream up campaigns on how to sell it to your customer base, to our customer base. That was a big deal. And that experience is really what led to what we're doing now. Also, at these companies, when the time was right, Amazon opened up the marketplace, and we were one of the first resellers on Amazon. And that was a time where Amazon would talk to us on the phone and it
right.
sent us to sell the stuff on Amazon. And that was when you also had to be in parity. So you had to sell whatever you sold on your own website. You had to sell the same assortment on Amazon. Thank God they took that away because that really made it a little difficult. And you
Yeah.
couldn't sell it for the same, you had to sell it for the same price. But I was one of the first sellers, back in the day on Amazon, and it was the Wild West for sure. And they definitely evolved. And now Walmart is a little like the Wild West, and we see that growing. Still nowhere near Amazon, but for me, it's incremental, and I do think that there's going to be some legs there. because they're spending a
Yeah.
lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I always say the only constant in this business is change. So everything else is always up. So this is great, Adam. So give us your contact information, how people can reach out and connect with you, and also your agency.
Sure. So please, anytime, whether it's a question just to ask, or if you want to just talk something through, it's free. I love to talk to people in the industry. To me, it's a big turn on. You can reach me at phelpsunited.com. There's a contact form. You could just put in and put a note saying, want to talk to Adam or any of our team members, or you can come email me at adam.shaffer, that's adam.shaffer at phelpsunited.com, or come visit me on LinkedIn, Adam Shaffer, and you'll see me at Phelps United, or come to our LinkedIn site.
Great. Thank you, Adam. I mean, you've been around, you've seen it all. And so anybody listening, you're dealing with an ultimate expert here. There isn't much he hasn't seen. So thank you,
Nick,
Adam.
I got a question for you. When we
Sure.
first talked, you told me to listen to some of the podcasts, and I did, and they were great. I loved the Riverbend woman. She was awesome. I definitely know that company. But I listened to your first podcast, and you talked about a product that you were selling for $5.99, and that you sold 20, then you sold 50, then you sold 100, then you did a shipping promo, and it blew your doors off on Sunday night. You didn't know what to do with all the orders. You had 10, 20 pages of orders, like 1,000 orders. What was the product, man? What was it?
Oh my God.
You didn't tell us, and you didn't say it.
Well, I didn't want anybody else selling it. So no, this was so no, what it is? That product, I kept it on my desk for 9 years, never to forget that day. So the product was a men's cologne, 1 ounce bottle of gray flannel.
A gray flannel, and it was your own brand?
No, gray flannel.
Gray flannel, the brand. Okay,
Yeah,
so you had a third-party
brand.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a 1 ounce small bottle that's dark green. You can see what's inside, and it's, of course, it's the holidays, so it's winter time, and gray flannel is a scent for winter. So we were selling, and I was dealing with a distributor, a major distributor. They would give me their feed of what's in stock, and this story is.
And you were selling FBM at the time, right? It wasn't FBA.
Yes, because there was no FBA for fragrance, because fragrance is categorized as hazardous. So we were doing our own fulfillment, but what made it work was the perfect storm. This is year 2008, just as the financial meltdown had occurred, and we are in the aftermath, but we don't know what's coming our way. I had just raised money, moved to Long Island, created a distribution center, and we were about to launch. And the software company that created our e-commerce site, they were delayed. So, and then shopping season arrives. We have no software system, no backend. We've got development in the works, and I have this product. And I, of course, being entrepreneurial, let's create a promotion. So I put out a free shipping coupon for a $5.99. The price was $5.99. Oh my God, we got 1,000 orders over a weekend.
Wow. And then your distributor didn't have enough to back you up.
No, what happened? I come to work. Of course, first of all, my archaic way of processing the orders, it completely blew up. Mm-hmm. So I was up until 4 or 5 in the morning trying to put purchase orders together. And then the next thing, and we were also doing just-in-time inventory. So I didn't have whatever we sold. It was not in stock physically. I would order it and they would ship it the same day or the next day. So anyway, I come to work Monday morning. I called the account guy and I said, Aaron, his name was Aaron. Aaron, I need 2,000 pieces of this item. So he goes, 2,000 pieces? He says, we don't have 2,000 pieces. I said, okay, I'll take whatever you have. How many do you have? He says, we've got 49.
Yeah, and you had to cancel all those orders, and you got stung by Amazon.
We had no way of canceling
Oh,
950 orders. It was a batch deal where I couldn't cancel anything, and I thought, okay, what do? We were set up to print labels, shipping labels, fairly batch processing shipping labels that we were able to do, and so I thought. I mean, they said we were suspended for 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. And we at one of my companies called PC Mall, it was a very similar item. There was a tablet that was regularly $499, and HP discontinued it. It was like a web OS. It was not selling, absolute dog. It was never going anywhere. But they all of a sudden lowered the price to $99 to liquidate the inventory. So we had it on Amazon, and all of a sudden our systems turned off, and we weren't the only ones, but we took such an influx of orders because it would come from Amazon to us. It blew us up. We couldn't keep up with the orders that Amazon was feeding us. And it happened to Barnes and Noble, who was selling the same product, and a few other resellers. We blew up thousands and thousands and thousands. There wasn't enough of these, and we were begging HP, you got to make more, but we're selling it at $99. This is $499, and Amazon was pissed. But we did work our way through it with them, and they did. That was a time when you can work with them. Now you're going to be off.
Well, I mean, it was they actually assigned. It was one of the best things that happened. Well, making lemonades out of lemons is what you do when you're running a business or building a business. So one of the key decisions I made in life, I had two really good people on my team, and they said, we've got Amazon on the phone. They actually called because our negatives shot up to 35%. And I said, who is that? And I said, she says she's the category manager, wants to talk to us. So I said, okay, I don't want to talk to her, not because I'm hiding, but anything I say to her will be final because I own the company. Mm-hmm. So we need to have some kind of layer in our dealing so that we can have some room to wiggle,
right,
with whatever we need to do or what we need to say. So I said, just tell her this. We are aware of the problem. We know what happened, what went wrong, and just take our word for it. We're working on it, and we'll be one of the best sellers on Amazon. So now tell us some things that you would like us to do while we are putting in place a long-term solution. So from that, the relationship, I mean, they kept us off for 6 weeks, but every week we had a call reviewing numbers. And then also, I told my guys, every call you tell her, we intend to be one of the top sellers on Amazon. So, year and a half down the road, I said, and we kept the relationship. And I said to my guys, ask her, how much more can we do? Having come as far as we did, how much more can we do? How much room is there at Amazon? And her answer was, your progress was beyond any imagination we had.
Okay, that's awesome.
We are very appreciative of what the effort you made and how far you've come. You can go as far as you want to go, even further. They don't want to tell you anything. I was asking what is market size. But you know what they did? And those days, you will remember, it was never part of their practice. They would send out the Amazon email for, you may be interested in the following products. They would never put the seller's name. They would just list the product. Mm-hmm. They include us in that email with our seller name.
That's great. So you made a friend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, to this day, I have a relationship. So it was one of the best things. But anyway, thank you for asking.
Take a picture of that gray flannel and put a poster up on your wall.
Oh my God! You gave me an idea, but I kept that freaking bottle on my desk for 9 years.
That's a brilliant story. Well, I mean, that's a life-changing story. So great.
It is.
Great.
Well, this was great. You got me.
Next time I'll tell you about nail glue. but we sell thousands of nail glues. I'll tell you another story next time. But thanks for having me on your show. I love talking about this stuff. I'm passionate about it, and you're a great person to dialogue with on this.
Oh, thank you, Adam. Thank you. So,
Cool.
and this brings us to the end of another episode, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Be sure and subscribe, rate, and review our show. And be sure and share an episode with a friend. And thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you next week here on Amazon Legends.